Is there a symptom that you wish you did not have to go through?
That's a loaded question. I can think of a lot of them. But recently, the one that kind of sticks out is my acid reflux that I've been having for the last couple of weeks now has just gotten worse, which I'm a little upset about because I didn't really get that until towards the end, probably in the last month of being pregnant before. So for it to be creeping up now, it's disheartening. As a reflex. And then my mom, she came by and she makes this, I don't even know what the dish is actually called. And I think it's based off of West African dish, but the base of the sauce is peanut butter. So we always call it peanut butter sauce, like everyone. And now Brian's obsessed with it. My siblings have always been obsessed. And now he's like, every time my mom cooks, he's like, can you make peanut butter sauce? And Liam our son is also super obsessed with it too. And he's been eating it for the last three days. He's had it for dinner. And they're going to say
the last 3 years because also.
Yeah, the last 3 years. Yeah, because he was eating it young too. And that's the only way I can sneak any type of chicken protein in his stuff. Because other than that, our kid is vegetarian. But my mom made it and it was so good. She makes it tastes slightly different every single time because she adds different seasonings, but it always tastes around the same, right? The main thing being peanut butter. But this one was just extraordinary. So I ate it the first night and I was dying. My acid reflux was just out of control. But it didn't stop me from having it the second night because I was like, I love it. So, but then after the second night, I was like, no. I'm in some serious pain and discomfort. I think my sister FaceTimed me and I just kept burping and talking about it. And she's like, again, you need to try. I think she said, which I haven't fact checked her yet, but what is it? Apple cider vinegar is supposed to help if I drink some of that. And I know we used to make those apple cider vinegar vitamin C booster shots. Check it out on the blog. Did we blog about it?
We did.
We did blog about it.
They weren't nasty. They were hard to put down.
Yeah. So, and with pregnancy, everything's hard to put down. So, anywho, she said to try that. So maybe if I do want to unfreeze some of the frozen peanut butter sauce that I have, maybe I will try that after I eat it.
Do a shot of apple cider vinegar before or after you eat?
I think it's after. I think it's supposed to help.
Oh.
Actually,
push
I don't
everything
know.
down.
TBD,
is it supposed to coat your
to
stomach?
be determined. I'll have to experiment if I do unfreeze some of the peanut butter. But that might not happen until after. I don't know if it's going to last until after birth, but we'll see. When it gets cold and I don't feel like cooking, we'll unfreeze it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So now we're just stuck to making things that don't give you acid reflux, which is everything.
So you put a little bit of lemon on the salmon, and I was like, okay, this is killing me.
Yeah.
So I just kind of have to suck it up a little bit and try something. People do the Tums. I was never really a fan of Tums, but maybe I will try it out because it's not horrible. That night it was horrible, but usually it's just that. Okay,
lingering.
Burp a few times, and then after an hour or so, it goes away. This one was a few hours. It just lingered. It just was there. So, but it was good. It was worth it. I would do it again. I did do it again. I'm Fatima.
I'm Brian. You're listening to Millennial and Pregnant.
We're talking through another pregnancy, but this time we're doing it with our 3-year-old.
We think we know what to expect this time around, but somehow it still feels new.
In this episode, we're talking about gender reveals and the moment we told our son he's going to be a big brother.
If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, with everything you need in one place. In fact, this season of Millennial and Pregnant was produced and hosted on Anchor. Here's what I love about it. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. This made it easier for me to edit my episodes on the go. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I cannot believe we're at 18 weeks right now.
I know.
It feels like time is now just snowballing and going faster and faster and faster. And we're coming up on like that halfway mark in a few weeks.
I know. I don't even know if you can
or
call it
quote unquote halfway.
Yeah, it could be what's more than a half?
3/4?
3/4. Well, not that
That's
not that
too
far
far
up. But anyways, it could be a little bit more than halfway up. Especially if we compare
2/3.
If we compare it to the first time around, then we're
5/8.
Yes. 5/8.
Or 5/9.
Well, I'll crunch the numbers, tell you guys later what that fraction is. Anywho, but yeah, no, it's going so quickly. Before you know it, like you said before, through the normal 40 weeks, we'll be halfway through. The summer's almost over. Darkster days. Days are getting shorter.
Pumpkin spice lattes around the corner.
Brian has already brought Halloween decorations at Marshall's this past weekend. We got another stuffed ghost that we don't need, but this one is different because it has a witch's hat on it. So
I think one day I'm just going to have a bookcase and it's going to be all ghosts that will sit in it.
Yeah, he sounds like a old lady in the suburbs who collects like all her teapots and stuff. Brian will have like a ton of ghosts, you know.
I commissioned my former coworker
to like make you one.
Make a ghost. It's the cutest thing.
Did it.
Needlepoint.
I can't believe.
Needlepoint, I think is called. She did an amazing job, and it's so cute.
I don't know what his obsession with ghosts have.
I don't know.
You started it as a child, right? And you would make these little ghosts with little tissue.
Did a whole blog post about this.
Yeah.
Tissue ghosts. Those are the best. My dad said we should ask him when we see him if he still has. He says he still has like one or two of those ghosts.
I believe that.
I believe he does. I would like to see them.
He probably puts it in like his little train village.
Maybe.
He should do that.
Oh, that would be so weird. Like a haunted house.
Yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about? We were talking about just how
time is flying.
Time is flying. Brian's ready in Halloween. Brian and our son have been reading his Halloween and Christmas book for the last few weeks. I'm
Little
like,
Blue
I don't
Truck
know
Christmas
why you guys are speeding up time.
And the Little Blue Truck Halloween are the two best books so far, spin-offs of like a normal franchise, we'll call it, book of a holiday.
In your opinion.
In my opinion.
Yours and the 3-year-old's opinion. They love those books and they've been reading it a lot. But I'm like, okay, can we slow down? I wanted to say the summer because then that means I also have a little bit more time of being pregnant. Although summer pregnancies, maybe that's another episode. Not really feeling it.
Yeah.
Not really fun. But anywho.
I mean, my cousin just gave birth and she imagine, and in order to get a September baby, you got to be really pregnant during the summer. And I can imagine how uncomfortable that will be. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll interview her. I don't know.
Tell us your discomfort, please. we would love to know about that.
But 18 weeks, we've gone beyond the raisins and the other small fruits and vegetable sizes. And now we've moved on to the size of a bell pepper.
I don't know really what is the obsession with like the comparison to produce.
When we look at I'll let you go.
Well, because you go to
put your finger up, you're like,
Well, when we're in the produce section and you're trying to find an onion, a pepper, or something like that, they're all different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they vary.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if you can really say, is it a small, like they need to say it's the size of a small bell pepper or a medium bell pepper, just to give you an idea, because it comes
like
in a variety.
Like a small red onion.
Yeah.
Well, is it the smallest one I find? Or
if you were to cut it up, it's a half a cup of onion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that would be really helpful for at least me.
So it's a bell pepper. But what's happening now by this week, by 18 weeks, ears are now in the final position in the head.
So now they can hear you, right?
Now they can hear you. The lungs begin to develop the bronchioles at the end of the tips of the branches, and that will supply blood, oxygenated blood to the lungs eventually. You, Fatima, will start having or feeling like having you have a bigger appetite. Does that? I've noticed that. You're like, I ate 3 meals and I'm starving.
Well, I was also saying, like, you're eating, your stomach gets full. Because I feel like I don't have as much room because there's other things taking up room. But you can't eat anymore because your stomach is full, but you still feel hungry. So, yeah, then you have to eat just a little. When you digest a little bit more, you have to eat another, like, little snack or something. I'm thinking about what my snack is going to be right now. I'm getting hungry.
Are you hungry now?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Do you want to pause and go?
No.
Are you sure?
Fine. Let's keep going.
Okay. But you should eat moderately and eat often. You noticed you felt this a day or so ago, but dizziness because your cardiovascular system is undergoing dramatic changes. So your blood pressure may be lower than normal. So don't get up too fast. And in the past couple of days, you've been feeling a little lightheaded.
Yeah, it's much harder, and I knew this was going to happen, and I did feel this the first time around, but it's so much harder when you have a 3-year-old because you're just constantly moving. He moves so quickly. You're picking up things. And so, yeah, I've been very, very dizzy. And sometimes I think, like, oh, I need to just drink some more water. I'm like, no, I was moving just way too fast. It's usually right after I'm done picking up something or doing an errand around the house that I feel that way.
And I've also noticed you've been a little more out of breath.
I know, as I'm, like, trying to catch my breath right now. Talking is like, take a breath. Like, have to take a deep breath in.
Goosebumps.
And that's due to, like, also
hormones.
Yeah, the hormones that make you out of breath. So, yeah. Not good for someone who likes to talk.
No. So that's where we are. 18 weeks. Pretty exciting times. Exciting things are happening. Always. But we really want to talk about gender reveals. We'll reveal the gender of the baby, biological gender of the baby. But I want to talk about your psychosis. Psychotic.
No.
Psychic
yes.
ability.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. This would be terrible if he was like solving a Wheel of Fortune episode and couldn't figure out what the word was.
But you have a psychic ability.
Yes, I do.
And I know we've talked about it before, but let's talk about it again. And it's going to feel like deja vu to some of our listeners. But let's talk about your pregnancy dreams that you have in general. And then let's talk about Liam's, and then we'll talk about this one.
Yeah, so in every situation where someone was close to me, I always have a dream, like a pregnancy dream. Either someone is pregnant or I am pregnant in a dream. And usually I have the dream, and probably like a week or so later, I hear that someone is pregnant. They like
close to you.
And I always turn to Brian, or after a while of this happening, because it started happening in college. After a while of this happening, I started to tell Brian to write down the date and what I said in the dream, so that it would be like another, although not a very, he is pretty close to me, so he could lie for me. But like another person who's like, okay, yeah, she definitely had that, and vouch for it, instead of me being like, I totally had that dream. And he's like, no. Like, okay, totally, you had the dream. Anyways, so he does that, and there's been quite a few times that, then we found out, like, hey, someone's pregnant, and he's like, she did have a dream. And we always crossed knife before we wanted to have kids. We're like, ooh, thank God it's not us. We dodged a bullet. But then with my first pregnancy with our son, I had a dream that I was pregnant, although I didn't see myself pregnant. But I had a dream I called up my sisters, and I said, I turned to Brian. I was like, gotta call my sisters and tell them it's a boy.
And I wrote down, I brought up my iCloud now. I don't go into it because if I go into it and make a space, it will erase the last time I edited this. And this note was edited August 25th, 2017. And I dated August 25th a boy. And in that dream, you were saying you were the one to tell.
Yeah, and it was very specific.
You're always told.
Yeah.
They're having a baby, but this time you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And you were saying, I have to tell them it's a boy.
Yeah. And so, sure enough, fast forward, we had a boy. But and I think we talked about in the first episode too, when we got the ultrasound to figure out exactly what the gender was, and the lady was like, okay, you guys ready for the gender? And she's like, it's a girl. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then she's like, oh my God, this never happened in the 13 years that I've been a technician or whatever. And she's like, it's a boy. And I was like, okay, that sounds about right.
You're like, I knew that.
Yeah, like I knew that. My dream told me. But then like, let's fast forward to, I think is even more freaky, because I had another dream.
You had another dream.
That, and this was before we knew we were pregnant, that I was at an appointment and the person was telling me, you're having a boy. And so I was like, okay. And so like at this time, we were actually planning the pregnancy, right? You know.
Want to talk about that a little more?
Anyways, so I kind of was like, oh, okay, like I think I should take like a pregnancy test soon, and like, oh, I kind of know what the gender is. And then sure enough, we did the blood work first, because apparently I'm getting older and have higher risk for things now. So got some blood work, and that confirmed it was a boy. And then we got the ultrasound just a week ago, last week, and confirmed, we saw the parts that, it's, biologically it's a boy.
Oh, I forgot we weren't. I mean, we were revealing it, yes, but I was waiting to the end, but I was like, yes, it's a boy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We're having another boy.
Yeah,
biological boy. And it's so funny because I was looking for the note, and I forget what day you went in. I want to say it was around July 5th, but it was before you went into your appointment. I said, let me just write a note. So my note is dated July 5th. And I wrote down, doctor told me a boy. End of May is when you had the dream, because I wrote down end of May in my note here. But I wrote it down July 5th because you were going into, I think that was your appointment to go in to get the blood work, but we didn't find out until the next week.
Yep.
Or the week after. So it's funny. So I have these two notes in here, and she's surprisingly very accurate. I wish we could have a hotline, but unfortunately you have to know Fatima. She has to be close with you. And you don't even have to see her for, like, you could be really good friends with, especially now being in the pandemic, we don't see people. So it's not like we see them on FaceTime, but we're not around them to like really see a glow or something. But you've just been very accurate.
I know. It's kind of weird when I had I never even told my friend that my really good friend from work, that I dreamed that him and his wife was having a baby. And it was such a weird dream. It was so like, we bumped into each other. And it would be right around the time like that they probably got pregnant. And then he's like, oh yeah, we're due in December. And I was like, this is so weird. Because I wrote down this dream. I didn't tell him because I'm like, you would think just like, I have some friends who are like really into it, and they're like, why can't you have like dreams about me? And like although not the pregnancy part, but just the prophecies about me. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like pick them. For whatever reason, I just have this sense of new life, or just life like that, those type of things. I think I just sense it. And sure enough, someone comes to me and confirms that my dream's accurate. But dreams, we don't have to get into it, but I really feel like they tell you a lot. And so people can be able to tap into things that they didn't know they had.
Maybe you're accessing a part of your brain and your powers.
I have a lot of lucid dreams.
I wish we can figure out a way to make money off of this. But I don't know how to do it without being a pyramid scheme. So,
pyramid scheme,
or at 1-800-MEDIUM.
Yeah.
We won't go that route. But when we started, when did we tell Liam he was having another sibling?
Well, we had to be careful because it wasn't until we wanted to start telling people.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We were mindful about telling him closer to when we wanted to tell people.
Because he could just like blabber out stuff, and it's just really random. He won't even say it. He won't really repeat it again and again when you say it at first, but then randomly he'll bring it up. So not until we were sure we wanted to start telling people, or the people who, that we see more often, that I was like, okay, we'll let him know. So I think when we told the first person, I think, which was my mom, then I was like, okay, we can tell you. We'll tell you now. Because then we're like, okay, it's going to be a snow. We have to wait to see everyone in person. We want to tell them in person. And we slowly were telling people. So we're like, okay, once we told the first person, we let him know, and then made sure we talked to the other people in person first before his little mouth told what was happening. But he started making some comments because every time he eats dinner, at the end of the day, he eats his dinner. He has a little yogurt pouch, or even like a final snack. And more water, and so his little belly looks so full, and so we always say belly so full, like your belly's so full, because it's just so cute, like a little pudgy belly. And so I was changing, and our son being our son, he's just like my little shadow, and so he's like, mommy's belly's so full, and I was like, oh yeah, mommy's belly's so full, I had so much to eat. And I'm like, okay, he's starting to notice that this little pooch is coming out. And especially because, my little bump coming out. But like my belly button kind of just has like, it just like automatically just pops out. It's like a little button.
It's a true belly button at this point.
I don't know why it pops out so much. Anyways, so I think he was drawn.
So early. It wasn't, I feel like your belly button didn't pop out until much later.
Everything's earlier. I don't know what's going on. So, once he started to see the signs of the pregnancy, I was like, okay, we gotta tell. We gotta start telling some people.
And so when we told him, and we said, mommy has a baby in her belly, and we were like, do you want a baby? Do you want a sibling? And he said yes.
Yeah.
We said, do you want to be a big brother? And he said yes. And then we said, do you want a brother or a sister? And he's like, brother.
Yeah.
And we're like, do you want a sister or a brother? He's like, brother.
Like, because we switch it up. Because sometimes if you say one or the other, the first or the second option, he'll change his mind.
Yeah.
But he's pretty like certain he wants a baby brother. And it was so cute because this morning when he comes into the bed and he's like, where's mommy? And I'm like, I'm right here. And he comes into the bed and he goes, mommy, baby brother?
Aww.
Baby brother laying down. And I was like, huh? So he's just like starting to understand a little bit more.
So we've been talking about how he's going to have to start sharing his toys, and when we're screaming through the house.
Sharing his cars.
He's like, no, he shares his cars with me.
But you asked him, like, are you going to share your cars with your baby brother? And he goes, no. So swiftly and confident in his response.
But, and we also have said, well, when he's running through the house screaming, we're like, hey, you're not going to be able to do this. When little baby comes here, you got to be a little more quiet. And he's like, okay. Puts that little finger up to his mouth.
Yeah.
He goes, shh, gotta be so quiet.
He's so cute.
So yeah, we've told him. And where were we? And he started saying, oh no, it was just randomly. I thought other people were around, but he was saying, mommy has baby in her belly.
You were talking to your aunt on the phone.
Oh, I was talking to Auntie Holly. And he just started yelling, just randomly.
Yeah.
Mommy has baby in her belly. Mommy has baby in her belly. And I was like, okay, goodbye.
Yeah. He like hung up on her so quickly. She was like doing you a favor. And Brian's like, okay, gotta get off the phone right now. Yeah, like so random. I knew like that, and luckily that was a coming weekend that we were going to tell pretty much your entire side of the family. It's a great opportunity. Baptism of our nephew. So we're like, we're there, so might as well do it.
Still someone's thunder.
Although not many people noticed that I was pregnant. I guess the dress I was wearing, except for your one aunt, because I feel like she always compliments me on what I'm wearing and stuff. And so she probably was looking me up and down. And she's like, She's like, you're always so small. And I'm like, okay, thank you. It's like, I had a large breakfast. But yeah, no. If you really looked, and she was really looking, you can tell I was pregnant.
Yeah. So we've told him. And every day we just kind of offer up something new for him. But we have this little app called Baby Center I signed up for. Like I did with Liam, signed up for a weekly email that comes through. And so they offer advice, both from parent experts, whatever that means. And
as long as you're a parent, you're an expert.
Exactly. And then also crowdsourced by other parents, which I value. And they offer just some steps for transitioning your kids now to become older siblings, and how to best tell them and transition them into the role of a sibling. So I just wrote a few things down that popped out at me as we help Liam become a big brother, which he seems really excited for. We'll see when he gets here what happens. But basically, if they take the lead and answer any questions they might have, so by when he starts pointing to your belly and asking questions, you can just answer him.
Yeah, although it hasn't been too many questions. But
no questions yet. Maybe for a little older kid. When the baby has started to kick, or you've been feeling a little flutters and your stomach been moving, you should let Liam feel the kicks too.
Yep.
That seems like a no-brainer. Have Liam sing, read, talk to the baby. Remember the other day I said, give mommy's belly a kiss.
Oh, yeah, that was cute, and he did.
Like, because he gave you a kiss this morning, or in the morning.
It's more of the sound effects than anything.
I know.
For me. But.
And, this article also said, I know COVID pending, but if you can, bring him to a prenatal visit to see the ultrasound in person, but also to hear the heartbeat. It's just like, what's that?
I know, he'll be like, what? He'll get like freaked out. Mommy can't move, blah, blah, blah. So he can stay home. We have shown him, like, stay home, child. We have shown him the photos afterwards, though.
Yes, the skeleton one. He didn't want to, the child didn't want to, the baby in the belly did not want to cooperate this last anatomy screening, and did not want to let his face be seen. So
camera shy.
Became very camera shy. Maybe it'll be opposite, because Liam's a little camera shy, but not really. He's always asking to take selfies. Start to explain what life might be with a baby, a new baby, especially
sharing his toys, being quiet.
Yeah, but also not sharing small toys, and not being able to talk back.
Letting him know mommy and daddy will be holding the baby, or we won't be able to go to the park, both of us at the same time. So we've been dropping those little hints and showing him photos of mommy holding the baby. That
is the next bullet on here. Show them photos of what he or your child looked like as a baby. So you've been doing that. If we have any other babies, visiting those people with babies.
Shout out to Colleen, because she had her baby, and I was holding little Colton, and Liam got a little. He was good, but he did want me at one point to pick him up and Colton, and I'm sorry, I was gonna. My belly, Colton, Liam, like, they're not light children, so that was gonna be rough. So I was like, no, mommy's gonna sit down and she come to eye level with you.
And then we should involve Liam in picking out furniture to help put clothes away, to like start preparations for the baby. I feel like he's gonna have expensive taste, so I don't know.
Also, when I do have him help put his own clothes away in his drawer, and he typically throws them in there, so they won't be folded clothes. If I just want them thrown in the drawer, he's my guy.
But he'll put them
he's
away.
My person.
Yeah. Whenever I show him, I've been trying to find. He was obsessed with my aunt's watch at the baptism party, and I've been looking for a watch. So I've been showing him photos of, like, on Amazon, different watches, and he was like, this one, this one. And they were all like the most expensive watches. I'm like, these are, first of all, these are children's watches.
Why? How much were they?
They were like over $100
Oh, no.
for,
no
like
child is walking around
a little plastic, like colorful little watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this $100?
Doesn't make
I'm looking
sense.
for a $10, less than $10 watch. But he's always like, this one? I'm like, no, $99. Nope.
You need to do a
even like
filter.
$50. I'm like, no. Well, we finally found one, so now I just have to order that. And then avoid big changes. So obviously a baby will be a big change. So avoid big changes around the time you bring your baby home. So maybe don't move. I mean, I don't know how people plan that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like the start of a school year, like how do you plan? Don't go to school? What do you do? I don't know. But avoid big changes. So maybe you transition out of a bed or transition those kind of things a little sooner or wait a little later. If you are putting your kids in separate rooms, maybe you put them in the new room now to get, so it doesn't feel like he's being pushed out of anything. And like the baby is doing this to him. I don't think you feel like that, but I don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
Little kids, they hold on to just about everything. Mm-hmm. So it's stored in there, even though you're like, oh yeah, they forgot about that. No, they did not forget. Mm-hmm. So the good thing is that like he's starting school a few months before, so that's going to be a big transition for him. Mm-hmm. And we're thinking about getting him a bigger bed now versus later, just so we don't have to get a second crib, because that just doesn't make any sense. So rather start transition, him into a twin size bed. Plus, when Brian puts him down, he'll have a place to lay.
To sleep.
Brian will be sleeping in the kids' room. I'm fine with that, whatever. So yeah, just trying. We're trying to do things a few months ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. And then, as we talk about the new baby, keep the baby talk light and positive. So if mommy's not feeling well, you don't have to go into great detail about why you're not feeling well. You just say you're not feeling well, but I'm okay. Everything is positive. And then one thing which I think is sort of a no-brainer, but always have to remind yourself, be present. Like when we're with Liam, just be present in those moments leading up to the new baby, and just to cherish this time as a family of 3 before we come.
That kid gets a lot of attention, so I'm not too worried about that one. We do, like, I'm constantly on the floor with him, just like doing puzzles or playing Hangman or Wheel of Fortune, so he thinks it is because he asked us to buy vows while we're trying to solve the puzzle, and food and drink or phrase is the category. And then he won $75,000. So like that's like our night.
No,
so
he won only $75,000.
Yeah. So, I think we do a really good job with like making sure we're like doing that. And I feel confident it's going to be definitely harder to do that with another kid, but it's something that's something that's in the back of my mind that I want to make sure I continue with him, because I think that's like his little love language. It's like, even my sister mentioned it too. She's like, he just wants you to be there and get on the floor with him. And I'm like, yeah, if you're like eye to eye with him, doing a project, doing a puzzle, playing with his cars, like that's what he wants. He's gotten better with the independent play somewhat.
Yeah.
But even with some of his favorite toys, he's like, mommy plays with this train, daddy plays with this train. So he still really much likes that interaction with at least us.
At least us.
I play with someone else. No,
he'll make some friends in school, and
yes,
and that'll be fun. But it's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him be a big brother, and he can be very helpful. So I hope he will continue to be helpful. Like, yes. Go run and get a diaper. Go run and get this.
And yeah, just those little things, because also super important that we don't make it seem like he needs to be the third parent.
Yeah.
They will have such a larger age difference, where at some point you're like, oh, can you babysit? So, but just like making sure we're cognizant of that. But yeah, I think those little things, those little tasks, because he does love helping. He does like helping me, like, or pretend wiping stuff from his little play kitchen, or picking up his toys and stuff like that. So he does enjoy doing that. So just incorporating that with the baby. So like, yeah, go grab a diaper, like, so that he feels like a part of the diaper change, or, you know, sit down with mommy and read a book with the baby or something like that. So it will definitely be an adjustment for him and for us, for sure. But he's going to be a good big brother, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's all for this episode, but make sure you're following the show so you know when the next episode is out.
Check out our website, liliesandloafers.com, for cooking and DIY inspiration and more updates from our growing family.
Millennial and Pregnant is a Lilies and Loafers original podcast. It's hosted by me, Fatima.
And me, Brian. Original music by Purple Planet. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.